Hello, welcome back to the workshop. Just a short video today. I bought this electronic ignition conversion kit for the Morris Minor to convert the existing points and condenser ignition to solid state, so no more points. So yeah, this is just going to be a quick video about that, and also going to put in a new Speedo cable because the old one failed. Alright, nothing fancy with the Speedo cable. Let me just get it out of the packaging. I'm just going to drop a bit of oil inside, just so it lasts a bit longer, because you can see it doesn't seem to be oiled at all. Just going to use a compressor to blow it through. Sweet as, and I'll just wipe off any excess. So this fat end goes down to the gearbox underneath the car, and this end goes up to the Speedo. Well, I guess we'll just start with the Speedo side first, as it's easy to get to. There should be a rubber grommet here, but I don't have one, so I'll just put it right through. Not too worried about that. And the other side just loops down here, and there's some clips that they go through. I'll show you them later. And inside the car, you can see it just comes through the dash, through the firewall I should say, or bulkhead or whatever you call it. And yep, that just goes right into the back of the Speedo. Nothing too difficult about that. And now as you can see, if I spin this anti-clockwise, you can see the Speedo moving. Here's a closer view. Just spinning the Speedo cable by hand. You can see it's moving. And then the other side of the Speedo cable runs down there through that loop. And you can just fold that back in. And down there, you probably can't see it, but parallel to that fuel line there's another loop like that. And the other side just hooks behind there too. Right, now we're underneath the car. It's a bit difficult to film under here. But here's the Speedo cable coming from the engine bay. That way is the front of the car, and this way is the rear of the car. And where I am, this wheel here, that's the passenger side. Or if you're viewing from a country that drives on the right, that would be your driver's side. It's as simple as it really is. There's another one of those clips back here. You'll see it. I can't really show you. There's not enough room. But that just clips right behind. I want to feed the cable around here first. And we'll connect this end here. And that piece just goes right into the gearbox and drives off. And a gear drives off the output shaft. Cool, and it's really just as easy as that. We'll just screw it on. Not too tight, just finger tight is okay. And if you want, you can get a rag and clean up some of the oil. I'm not going to bother. The whole underside of the car is greasy as, so there's no point. And I'm just going to tuck that cable underneath that. And then I might have to grab a hammer and bash it in. I'm just going to bash that cable, whatever thing, that clip or whatever in. There we go, nothing fancy. Then I'll have to do the same for the other one up in the engine bay as well. There we go, you can see the clip. The top one is the fuel line, and the one on the bottom is the Speedo cable. And this part here, that's the chassis leg for the passenger side, or the driver side if you drive on the right, like in the USA or whatever. And that just runs to the gearbox, and the other side runs up to the engine bay. I'll just bash this side in as well. Just want to route the cables up so it'll make it look a bit nicer first. And that's about it. You probably couldn't see anything, but I had to adjust it a little bit with some pliers and just bash it in. Right, now it's time for the electronic ignition kit, but let's fire it up for the last time on the points first.
Cool, and let's do electronic ignition now.
Well, I just read the instructions on the back, and I think I know what to do, so I'm just going to wing it, honestly. Only thing is, just don't hook it up incorrectly, otherwise it'll damage it. Other than that, we do have to set the timing again, and I do have a timing gun, so that's all good. I think that's silicone grease. You have to apply that to the plate, I believe. So yeah, let's get started. Unfortunately, the audio got ruined. I'm just showing off what's in the kit. So you got that packet of heat transfer paste, the actual module itself, some insulators for the wires, that's the trigger ring, and some plates for different types of distributors, and a new rotor arm. That cable tie is just to cable tie the wires inside the distributor so they don't touch anything when it spins, when the vacuum advance activates. But here I'm just saying I'm going to fit it off camera because it's just too fiddly to film individually. So I have the points out, they're on the table over here, and the screws and stuff that held it in, held the condenser, and the points in are there too. I'm just going to clean it out with a bit of brake clean. Just going to wipe everything down. Just blow everything out lightly with a compressor. Alright, well here's the setup. These two wires off the pickup pass through this, which goes on the edge of the distributor. This red wire hooks up to the positive side of the coil. To the negative side hooks up to the negative side of the coil. And as you can see, that's the negative side with only one connector, and the other side connection for the pickup, as seen before. And the other side goes to the wire coming from the ignition key in the car. It's important not to mix these around. This is the positive and this is the negative. Do not mix the wires. You can check with a multimeter without this connected and check which side is negative and positive, because if you wire it backwards it will damage this thing. So just double check before you put it in. And I also discovered this is not silicone grease. This is actually some sort of heat conducting paste that you must smear on the base of this before bolting it to the, or rather screwing it to the distributor, because a metal on metal is not as good of a heat conductor. This will conduct heat a bit better, it will transfer the heat. Let me get this smeared on and we'll have it in the car. So here I have the trigger. These contain 4 magnets and these pass over the pickup. This fits over the lobes of the distributor. If it fits on too tightly, you can get a razor blade and scrape it a little bit. It should fit on snugly. However, if it fits a bit loose, as in my case, my distributor is a bit worn, that's why I'm actually switching to electronic ignition so I don't have the timing issues with the spindle being a bit wobbly. You can actually put a little bit of silicone in here. You won't have that play. So I'll just do that now. Now, according to the instructions, the gap between the trigger and the pickup isn't too crucial. As long as it's not touching, it should be okay. It claims it will find its own position. Yeah, I'm not too sure what that means by that. But I have the adjusting screw on the distributor slackened at the moment, so I'm going to slip this on. And just as long as there's a little gap between it should be alright. It says maximum 4 or 5 millimeters, which is quite large. Yeah, as long as it's not touching, it should be alright. Alright, well this isn't the best angle, but you can see the pickup here. I've got the paste on it. And it is still loose, so you can adjust it back. Oh crap! Let's try that again. So yeah, it is loose, so you can still move it. Not very much, but you can. As if you were adjusting the points. Show you in a second. I'm just going to wipe off any silicone that was smeared. And as for the gap, I'm just gonna do what I do on a lawnmower. Just grab like a business card type thing. Sorry, my arm might be blocking the way, but this was actually the packaging for the thing. I'll just put it in between. And that should be good. Now just tighten up that screw. And then now I'll just use a cable tie, and I'll tie the cable tie around the hole that the the condenser went through. Well, I should say the cutout of the condenser went in. And just cut it for some clippers. There we are. The rotor is now on, and that is quite tight. All good. And now I'll just get the rotor cap on. Alright, cool. All the wires are on. HT leads, I mean. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Got them labeled anyway. This one goes to the coil. And I cleaned out the inside of the rotor cap with some brake clean and a clean rag and some compressed air, just to make sure there's no grease or anything. So yeah, let's get this wired up. So now I'm just gonna, well actually I should start by saying I've got the coil connected. The wire from the ignition of the car, the ignition wire, this wire, from the car, from the wiring loom, is connected to the positive side of the coil, and the negative side is connected to nothing. And I've just got the wires coming from the distributor, the power spark ignition, electronic ignition, just wrapped in the rag so it doesn't short out anything. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the car on and use my voltmeter and just touch positive on positive, and then black just anywhere on ground. And the number that comes up on here should be a positive number. That will ensure that I don't have the coil wired up backwards, because if I do so, it will damage the electronic ignition module. The car will still run backwards on the regular points and condenser, it's just not as efficiently. So I'll just turn the key and then I'll go check it. So I'll set the voltmeter on DC. I'll get a better view in a sec. But positive on positive and negative. And yes, indeed, it is a positive number. So as you can see, it's 12 point something volts, which is, yeah, it is indeed a positive number. So that means it is not backwards. But say, for example, if it was backwards, it would look like this. If the coil was wired backwards, there'd be a negative in front of the voltmeter. And yeah, you'll have to address that, just switch it around. Otherwise, you're going to fry your electronic ignition module. So now I'm just going to turn the key back off and wire that back in. Wire the electronic ignition module in, and then we can start the car. Alright, everything's wired up. That's the red wire from the module to the positive side. And that's the black wire to the negative side, also from the module to the coil. And I'll do cable management last, but let's see if we'll start. We still have ignition timing to do after this, but we'll just make sure it starts first and everything's connected firmly. And it starts right up, easily. It actually sounds smoother already, but I don't know if that's the placebo effect or what, but it seems to idle a bit more consistently than before. Let's do the timing now. Actually, before I do the timing, I'm just going to tidy up the wires and I'll show you how the timing gun works. So this is the timing gun. What we'll do is we'll set it to we need to set it to low RPM, because that's just to show us speed of the motor, because we'll tune the idle as well. High RPM just changes the RPM range. Advanced, you want to flick that all the way to 0, because we don't want to look at the meter here, we want to look at the timing marks on the bottom of the engine, so the advanced needs to be set on 0. And the dwell angle, well, we don't even need to worry about that now because there are no points, so there are no dwell angles to worry about. That wire is not used, that's for the dwell angle. Positive and negative just connect right to the battery. And this is the pickup for the spark plug, so you can see it says here, this side towards plug. So we'll just put that on cylinder number 1, flip it and just put it around the lead. And yeah, this is fragile, so yeah, we've got to not drop it. And once we get under the car, we'll just hit the trigger and point it at the timing marks, and it should be set at 4 degrees bottom top dead center. And that is with this. This is very important that you disconnect the vacuum line here, otherwise the vacuum advance will affect your static timing. You don't want that connected when you're doing the timing. So let's hook up the timing gun now and we'll start the motor. So I'm using my phone for this, but you can see under the car, that's the crank pulley. I'll turn the flashlight off now. Oh, here we are. And here's the timing gun. I'll hit the trigger. And now you can see it's flashing. I can't actually see. Let me get under the car. So you can see the timing is way out on that, if you can see. You probably can't see that, but that's if you see those three, if you look here, the big marker furthest to that side, that's top dead center, and the arrow is smaller to that on this side is 5 degrees and 10 degrees respectively. So the timing mark was way off over here. Don't know if you can see it on the videos. So unfortunately, that's still not enough. So it looks like I'll have to rotate the distributor. I'll do that off camera. Alright, it's about half an hour later, and I've got the timing set. That's right on the money right there. And of course, the vacuum advance is disconnected. I ended up having to loosen the distributor and rotating it a bit. But stupid me, and I forgot to mark the thing. You can see I marked it down there. That's from previous marking. I forgot to mark it because I marked it at the wrong spot. So I lost the static timing, so I had to redo all that. But now it's good. So now I'm just going to tighten up the distributor and we should be set. I've already fine-tuned it with that little dial on the side. Yeah, it's running pretty sweet right now. And just as a note, your idle should be about between 550 and 600. So yep, that's about 550, 600 right there. And that's perfect. It's idling and ticking along very smoothly now. It's pretty consistent. And yeah, that's about it really. Electronic ignition all fitted. Took longer than expected. I thought it'd be like a 1 or 2 hour job, but it's turned to about a 3 hour job because of all the distributor stuff. That typically happens. Stuff always takes longer than you think. But I'm very happy with this. It runs smoother. I can already just hear it. It seems more responsive already. Although I haven't road tested it, I'll have to do it tomorrow because it's dark out now. I'll take it to school tomorrow. But yeah, this should hopefully be more reliable and produce a better spark. I'll just fire it up for you one last time. Don't need the choke. It's warm. Yep, neutral. Check that out. That's a very smooth running motor right there. But yeah, thank you for watching. I don't know if I'm in focus or not. Can't really see because the screen's so small. But yeah, thank you for watching. And yeah, that's the Morris Minor electronic ignition conversion with a Speedo cable installed. And if you're wondering, I did get stung by a bee there, so that's why my eyes all swollen. But that's alright. Yeah, very happy with it. Thanks for watching.